I'm seeing, you know, the Teletubbies, there's like Winky and Blinky and all of that. For some reason, I'm seeing like that symbology. Yeah. So let me see. Typically when they'll do that, it's symbolic. And so I'm seeing Winky in the way this is coming through.
Wink was my dog.
Oh, wow. Fascinating.
I knew Wink was gonna come. I knew it.
Do you have any objects for me to hold on to connected to it? I think I'll do that.
That's me.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. Perfect. They're showing me my symbol for buying time, but when that comes through, it usually is an indicator of acknowledging that when they pass, they're meant to pass. It's almost like a saying, like, I was on borrowed time, or like, it's that kind of a feeling.
Wink, it was 7, but she did have, like the year before, she had like pancreatic shutdown, and they thought she was gonna die, and then she just bounced back. And then one day I woke up and I was like, she's gonna go. But she looked fine, and then she died 2 days later. And I felt like she waited till I was pregnant, and she knew I'd take good care of myself if she died.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's the beautiful thing about pets is, you know, I think they oftentimes know when to enter our lives and when to leave it.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Wink came on so strong.
Yeah. You gotta see what she looks like.
A little face.
She's Wink.
Okay.
She's missing her eye.
That is why.
Yeah. We were in love.
It's probably the strongest dog connection I've gotten out of 150 readings. It's a close connection.
Yeah.
Now, when I'm connecting to that energy, after the dog passed, they're putting an emphasis around, like, what do we do with the body? Do we keep it? Do we cremate it? Like, what do we do? But there's an acknowledgement in the way this comes through of, like, being honored at a residence or being honored in a physical location. And for some reason, they're having me acknowledge this feeling connected to this animal of, like, if we have a space that we go to like, that we affiliate with where that animal would be, that we would still have in some capacity.
Should I say anything?
Does that ring a bell to you? Okay, where would that fit to what you would...
Wink died when I was living in my last house, and I buried her in the front yard. And then I had to move, and I had to leave her. But we honor her. We have an altar, and, you know, I talked to her there and light a candle, but her remains are still there. And she was pretty much my soul dog. I just want her to know I loved her. She was great.
Of course, absolutely. And, you know, the love that animals can give us is sometimes just as strong, if not stronger than some people. And they come through with that love just as much. And so the feeling with this is this love bug acknowledges being at peace, clearly. And so as long as you have that place where you can honor her, that's important. And there seems to be that understanding that you do that. And so this is still an active part of your life.
I'm happy that Wink knows I visited her.
Of course.
That's enough.
Do you know of any women in the family who would have dealt with any issues involving, like, leg swelling or, like, fluid retention? It would have to be an identifiable feature in a person. And the way this comes across, there's this feeling of, like, the way I want to describe it is, like, I want to, like, plop up my leg with this, and then I'm seeing, like, my feet being rubbed, and, like, it's just a lot of visuals that are basically referencing to, like, fluid retention. Do you know what I'm talking about with this?
Yeah.
Okay. I can't get this out of my head. It keeps coming through. Like, if we think of this person, we think of the leg swelling or something. She's very much acknowledging, like, being able to see your success. The feeling is that she saw this in you in some way before it ever even happened.
Well, her name was Rosalila. She was my mom's sister. She just passed away 5 months ago. She died from a knee replacement. The operation didn't work out, and she retained a lot of, you know, fluid, like you said, and it was a complication from the operation. So she passed away. She was a very close aunt because she was my mom's sister. I wasn't looking to make a connection with her, but it would be very like my aunt to be presenting herself and be very pushy and trying to be part of the whole thing. She was always very involved and always like following me on what I was doing in my career. I think she's gonna be happy that her picture and that she looks so pretty is on TV.
Oh, absolutely.
It was always kind of funny to be around her. That was very, you know, amazing. Unless they're on our close family, nobody could have known the cause of her death.
He's like an integral part of when it comes to your career, where things are going towards the future. It's like he informs so much of this.
You nailed it.
Awesome.
You're talking about my father. His name is Michael, and he passed away in his 50s. He wanted me to be successful. And he would be like, you're gonna sing and you're gonna play the flute. And I was like, but I don't know how to sing. He's like, you're gonna sing anyway.
Figure it out, yep.
I feel like that is actually still happening.
I agree.
You know?
Absolutely. And when he comes through, he's still so involved in your career. It makes
So involved.
So he's having me talk about you, and then I'm saying family responsibilities.
There's a whole list of them.
Sure. He's having me talk about a very important emphasis on location. For some reason, he's putting one of them separate. I don't really know how to describe this. Figure out what this is.
My sister and I, we were in 2 different cities, and my father was in a different city when he passed away.
Okay, that makes sense. He's having me talk about a delay in informing someone of his passing, and there's this whole thing that's coming through about like someone who should have gotten immediately notified, or it's like everybody else is informed except this one person.
I'm so afraid of this one moment that happened in my life that I'm afraid of every moment now. I was the last to know.
Gotcha.
I missed the phone call.
Ah, okay.
It was very jarring. I was in the shower.
Gotcha.
And I had all these missed phone calls.
Wow.
And then I called my sister, and she just goes, "Dad's dead!" And I was like, "Are you kidding me? Like, that's not the way you say that to somebody." And I just remember I like threw my phone down.
Gotcha.
And I was so upset.
I can't imagine having to go through that.
It's like, that's not the way I should have heard that.
Exactly. And he didn't want you to hear it in that way. And there's just this feeling of like, I'm sorry that that was your introduction to grief. Because that shouldn't have been the case.
Thank you.
So please know in this way, he's very aware of the circumstances. He just didn't want to leave a mess with this situation. And
I was not expecting to need to hear that. It was just something that I was like, oh, this is how it happened. This is how death happens. But like the trauma in that small moment
of course
has affected me in so many ways. I just feel such a release right now knowing that he knew that that was going on and that it's a part of my experience with his death.
Exactly.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, well, you know, that's kind of the power of grief. We grieve in different ways as time goes on, and I hope that at the very least there's comfort in knowing that he knew what you were going through. He sees that. And he's so proud of you for being able to handle all of this despite that.
Wow.
That's huge.
That was massive, Tyler.
Oh, I love it. I'm so glad.
I can breathe.
Mom was in the other room.
Oh, cute. Awesome. So great. Your mom's side of family comes through really strongly, which is just good to keep in mind.
I knew it.
There's this woman that's coming through connected to your mother, and she's like intense and adorable and lovely, but she's like the main reason why I'm here today, sincerely. So
I knew it.
She's one of the big ones.
Yeah.
My mom. It's my mom.
She's bringing me back to childhood. There's a story of a small child preparing food, and we're talking little, like 5, 6, 7, making eggs, for example, like on the stove. It's just like a situation where a child basically doesn't have the parent there to make this food, and a child does it like very, very young, like very, very little.
That could, I'm not sure, my mom can clarify this, but it could have been my mom because my grandmother was hospitalized most of her life.
Makes sense.
My mother went away to an institution when I was 7. So I kind of stepped in to help take care of my dad and myself.
She was schizophrenic.
Oh.
And she spent a lot of my mom's childhood in the hospital.
Wow.
My mom had a rough time. I never saw signs of my grandmother being schizophrenic. As I got older, I heard stories. She had different episodes that would happen, and then they would put her back in the hospital. I didn't know really any of that. I didn't know that she suffered. She was just my grandma. We would sleep on the couch. I'd spend the night at her house a lot. She was just the sweetest, tiniest little thing you've ever seen. She would smoke like a fiend. Smoke like, just sit there with her legs curled. They were wrapped around 7 times, I think. And she'd sit there and she'd just smoke all the time.
Wow.
All the time.
What a woman.
And I could do no wrong.
This is coming in, not making any sense to me. Very different energy. There's an individual coming in who died under mysterious circumstances, the way that I would describe it, and this person passed away early on. Can you relate to anybody who's passed in this way? Okay,
Yes.
because it's weird. Oh, okay, this is interesting. The way this is coming in. What was the gender of the individual that you're thinking of that would have
Male.
passed? Okay, so was this person like, were they one of us?
Yeah.
Copy that. Okay. Because that's the kind of word this. It's basically a lot of feminine.
You mean
energy.
blondes?
You know.
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
trying
She
to-
was family.
Gotcha. Yes. I'm trying to think of how to kind of word this carefully. This guy felt like he didn't always make the best choices, but when he comes through, he's like, no. He's stepping back in some capacity. So when they do that, that's usually their way of like not taking accountability in some way for how they died.
I think it's Steven. Oh my God. I got this.
It kind of feels like my headspace isn't clear, but I didn't do this to myself. And it's just very important for him to come through and acknowledge not being in clear mind.
I think what he's trying to say is that I didn't kill myself.
Right.
There was an accident.
It's that kind of feeling.
Basically what you're right on, and this is someone that I worked with in LA and became very good friends with. A very close friend of both of ours called me and said he had fallen off of a balcony and died. It's very interesting because he was a really, really amazing, fabulous hair and makeup artist in LA. And you did a reading with Brooke Burke. And she was asking about this person as well.
This heart has the ashes of Stephen Lake. It was tragic and in his 40s and suddenly, and we worked together very closely for a long time.
Wow.
He came through so forcefully, and it was just, you know, you've had this second connection with him, so it was really...
Yeah. That's definitely a first. I've never been able to like bring through the same person for different people before.
Yeah, thank you for that. Stephen was such a peaceful soul. His essence was that he was a calm, centered, spiritual person, so I'm not surprised that he's saying, you know, it's all good. I didn't plan on coming and talking about him because I already felt kind of closure through Brooke's reading, but he had an important message. He's at peace with it. It just makes you feel a little bit better about it.
Do you have any objects?
I do have an object.
Okay, so I might hold on to that.
There you go.
Great. Okay, I'm just gonna scribble and we'll see who's wanting to talk.
This is a ring that's very special to me because it belonged to someone that I love dearly. It would mean a lot to me today to get to know that she's good. It would mean the world to me.
Okay, I just have to quickly mention the woman who's referencing to the lungs. She's immediately having me talk about this, and this is a big thing. This isn't sudden or quick or fast like a heart attack. This is a chronic lung problem this woman had, and she's having me reference to the fact that she wanted to be known she was not suffering and was not in any pain in the moment that she passed. But she said she went through a hell of a lot in her life because I feel like passing away would almost be a relief from what I'm having to go through. And there's a feeling of like, I'm free of this. I'm not dealing with this anymore. Would you know who that would be?
My cousin Melita,
All right.
who passed away at like 32. We were all under the impression that she had like a heart issue, but she was always having like liquid on her lungs, and they were always draining her lungs. And she always had like a hard life, I think, because she just always felt like everybody was against her. And I used to be like, think positive, be positive. Like, but she never really listened to me on that note.
And when she comes through, I think that just the fact that she connects shows that regardless of what she dealt with in life, she still comes through, and the love is there, and it's clear, because that's why she connects. So,
Yeah.
You know, I think that that's, if anything, like a relief to know.
Yeah, definitely.
And whose ring was this? I'm curious.
Oh, that was my cousin Melita's ring.
Wow.
I just feel like there was more to be said, more to do, more life to live, you know? When he talked about how she was like suffering, it was a relief for her to pass. That meant a lot to me. And I miss her.